Hello, everyone. We are live, and this is one of my authors' chats of the week. Last week, I actually did not have one because I was celebrating the fact that I was finishing up my Kickstarter. So that was a exciting week, but I was kind of talked out, especially since I'm still recovering from a surgery. But here we go. We'll be talking today when my co-host joins me about books, writing, publishing, everything in between. So if you are on the book talk side of things and want to hang out, that's great. I'll be keeping my eye out for my co-host to try to send him the invite when I see that he is out and about. Aha, there we are. And we'll get things rolling, hopefully smoothly. We shall see. Sometimes there are a few early hiccups, but we... Hello?
Okay, let's see if I can turn off the camera on, please. Okay.
Hi.
Okay. Hey, hi. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nervous because I just have this nervous hacking stuff when I do interviews and stuff like this, but I'm doing pretty good. I mean, it's Monday, so have to go off the day job around about 11-ish, but it's good.
That's fine. And yeah, this one's pretty conversational. If anybody in the comments posts this, something bookish, I'll try to point that out. If there's a question that's again in the book realm, we'll try to answer that. If you see anything in the comments on your end that I'm not noting, it's maybe because I don't see it. It all just depends on who's joining the live when. So feel free to mention anything on your end if you see comments that are applicable to the book talk community. Anyway, start things off. Since you're my co-host this week, I'll let you introduce yourself and what you write, and we'll go from there.
Let's see. I write basically everything, and I read everything. So I started out writing science fiction and fantasy. Fantasy is actually sort of funny. It's been a while since I actually wrote a fantasy, but my love of reading started with reading The Lion, Witch, and the Waldroup, and I had a slightly interesting reaction after reading when I was 8 years old. I was like, I think I can do a better job. I was 8. I do not understand what comes out of my mouth, but it just was one of those stories. I did that, and I've been writing off and on, and then I got really heavy into reading mystery novels and stuff, and people didn't understand. I started reading, and it was really weird for me. I'm dyslexic, but for some reason, I can sit down and quietly read a book. My brain works like that, but I can quietly read a book. Try reading something out loud or a book I'm editing or anything out loud. My brain freezes up for some reason, and I exactly don't know why. But I eventually, finally decide to I've been trying to help out people with lots of books. Especially I started it out to try to help out authors that were having problems trying to get their short stories out and stuff like that. So I'm like, self-publishing is pretty easy. So I started doing that. So I spent a couple of years trying to help people, and all I got from my headaches are mean comments, and why you're not paying 3 or 5 cents per word? This is a hobby. I have a day job, and I have to pay for cover art and stuff. I'm doing this out of pocket out of the goodness of my heart. So eventually, I stopped writing back in 2019 and just gave up and shelved everything. And then I got locked in my house for a year. We all know what happened in 2020, and the characters start walking on me like, come on, you want to tell my story? Oh, come on, you want to tell my story? Oh, come on, I'm a nice librarian. Do you want to tell my story? I'm like, so the characters in my head drove me back into writing. So my first book that I put together, I'm not totally satisfied with it. You can still buy it directly from my pay store. But it was just a mix of problems. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm dyslexic, and my dad used to help me with my writing, but sadly he's now passed away very recently. But he got to the point where he couldn't type out or hear very well to help me with my writing. So I had to go find ghostwriters, and finding a ghostwriter is one. I don't suggest anybody trying to do that because they signed NDA agreement, so even when they actually have done stuff, they can't tell you what they have done because they signed an NDA agreement. So I finally found somebody I'm working with right now. Oh, that's a freelancer that I can fit in. So basically, what I had to do was, and it took me a while. I mean, I wrote for like years. I mean, like years since I was like 8 years old, consistently in notebooks and stuff and ideas and stuff. Eventually, it came. I was working with an editor, I think, in 2008 and 2009, and I was trying to help myself, like, figure out. I was trying to get traditionally published. Self-publishing was there, but it didn't blow up till 2010, 2012 when it really blowing up. So he was going for me. He eventually said, "You're going to spend a lot of money on the front end with an editor that's going to have to do in-depth rewrites and stuff. You might as well just hire a ghostwriter." And knowing me and giving up my ideas to another writer, like, that was like strange and like forbidding. And I'm like, "No, I can't do that." Like, it was like it. So eventually I came to the conclusion that because of my ADHD and dyslexia that was so bad, and my speech impairment that made text-to-speech software like Dragon Speaking and other text-to-speech software so difficult to use, I eventually had to go with ghostwriters. And I played around with AI. My funniest I laugh at people that talk about AI. "Oh, it's going to take over the book industry." No, it's not. It's really not that good. Now, before I started playing around with it, I'm always trying to find stuff to help with my author career. So, and it's AI, and sorry, I'm a sci-fi reader/writer. If you call it something AI, I'm going to play around with it because we've been playing around with what AI could do since since the 40s. That's actually a very common thing on science fiction. So I played around with it. Now, what people don't know is I went behind the paywall. I paid for ChatGPT. I paid for Pseudowrite. I paid for all these things. They ain't worth anything. They take too long. I even tried writing a book with ChatGPT and Pseudowrite, just trying to see what it can actually do. I spent more time rewriting what they did than anything else. And these gurus to sell you anything, these gurus, "I can make you a self-published success. I'm a blah blah this." I'm like, yeah. No, you basically wrote a self-help book, have a course to sell, and that's where you're making your money. Because let's be real for a second. If you were actually successful at writing, you just would be talking about giving it out for free. I mean, at the end of the day, and there are lots of shots. So I'm always laughing about. I laugh about the M dashes. I laugh about all this stuff. But the only time I've actually used AI and it seems to be actually half decently effective, even then I have to go back and fix it, so I probably won't do it, is asking a math question on my computer. I sometimes ask Copilot a math question, like, if I'm traveling at 100 times speed of light, like, how long it would take to get to half Sici-fi? It says around about, I think, 16 days, if I remember it correctly. That's pretty good. Brainstorming, helping you outline anything else, the thing falls apart. And it's so slow, even behind the paywall, because they have to use so many servers, so much energy. And then on top of everything, all these AI companies are getting the butt sued because they didn't, how they got their language model to work for the rest. Because, well, I have a funny, hilarious story. I don't suggest doing this. When I think Meta was the last one that I've heard about that, like, went to pirate websites. if you're not popular, I don't suggest going to pirate websites to search up your books. Because you're going to find out, like me, they're not there, and then you can have a fun 5-hour spiral with imposter system. Even the pirate websites don't want my book. So be careful when you do stuff like that.
Well, I kind of want to go back to the concept of utilizing a ghostwriter, because if anybody is listening and has always been curious about that, there are lots, it's kind of like your case, there's a variety of reasons why people utilize ghostwriters, and sometimes it's just simply someone has a fantastic idea and doesn't know how to articulate it in the way they want to express it on paper, and so the use of ghostwriters can help word it that way. I've also known authors on both sides, the ghostwriters as well as authors, who use ghostwriters because their business is getting so big, they have so many series, and they actually have some ghostwriters help them kind of speed along the process. It's up to each individual author if they want to use one and how they feel about that. I've never used one, but there are some reasons why certain people choose them as aids to help write their story.
Oh, okay, on the ghostwriting stuff, for some reason, ghostwriting pops up on my For You page every now and then. Now, usually when people are using ghostwriters, the problem is there are lots of bad actors, scammers. Heck, my book Titan Crisis, basically, the ghostwriter I hired to do that basically just generated the story using AI.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch it because when I use ghostwriters, when I started this AI didn't really blow up to 2023 when it really blew up. So some of my book projects were started way before that ChatGPT AI blew up. So lucky for me, a editor said, "Hey, this is 70% AI generated." Now, with me, I'm always double checking stuff. On my computer, I have files that I have no AI generated, just to have random stuff that I've generated with AI, just to go back and double check stuff. So now, when you use ghostwriters, especially off of Fiverr, you can get caught with problems like, this story sounds really familiar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's plagiarized 90% of the time. Especially if you see this sounds really familiar and doesn't even sound like my ideas and notes I sent over.
Unfortunately, in the indie writing, just business, there are so many people who are trying to find an easy buck or a true scammers for whatever reason.
God, yes,
come at you and they're like, "Hey, pay me $500 and I'll make you a marketing success." Or again, you have to be careful. So for whatever you're trying to hire, be it editor, ghostwriter, cover designer, you kind of have to vet them and just make sure
you have to vet them. I mean, one of my favorite things is Indie Author Connect. I love that website. I'm glad I found the guy. Don't really fully agree with the guy that actually runs the thing and what he supposedly said, but I do have to vouch because I did find a nice, good, solid cover artist and formatter that I've been using thanks to his website. But my favorite place where I like to go find most of the stuff is, I think it's Freelance Editors Association is a good place to find these people, but it's a minefield. You have I'm always and so many fly by night. I have bumped into so many fly by night ghostwriting companies, editing firms, that you go back to heck, I actually hired a ghostwriter, and it's one of the more expensive ones to help with the outline. And I didn't hear anything from her. I go to a website, her website was no longer there. It was failed to payment. I was okay, I'm giving up. Because I didn't hear anything from her. It was I don't know what happened to her or anything, but it was I'm yeah. And then the same thing, it does, if you're trying to traditional publish, you can run in like Wibell, the blog, great resource for people. Go there. There are so many and they love new people. They love new budding self-published people. They love these AI companies. Love the new they're like, oh, a new sucker, and it's sad because people give up because it's tough out here. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I've run my sales ain't the greatest, that's why I have a day job. But even by talking like that, it's like, okay, the marketing gurus say you only should talk about your book 40% of the time, talk about your author journey, and then people complain about that.
Yep.
It's
such an individual thing that what works for one author is not going to work for another. And so if you listen to anybody and they say this is the way, then I would
run screaming for those people. I spent half of my writing career. I started writing science fiction, and writing science fiction when I was 50. Run away from those people. Those are the worst people to take advice. Even if they're New York Times bestseller, don't listen to those people because they're always the worst people to take advice. The best people to take advice is, this is how I do it. I'm a stream outliner and pantser. To the point where I joke around with people. I'm like, yeah, how I write is actually fascinating to me. Is because I take the 3-act structure and I use that for world building. And then I use the hero journey to try to because I love the little names, the hero journey. Not everything about the hero journey, but I just love the little names. This clown, this dog is I like the little names of it. So I'm sitting here going through this, and then at the bottom of that, I start going the latest book I've been working on was United States Space Marine Corps. Fun book, military stuff. I'm thinking I'll go try to traditionally publish that one, but it's just the next one in the queue. But it was funny to me, and I'm like, and I started a new technique of writing like this because I was bumping into problems when I was outlining stuff. I was using the 3-act structure with chapters or points, and the books it worked nicely when I was constructing the thriller book I'm writing right now. We're on chapter 5, but the freelancer ghostwriter. But I had to push pause on that because my dad literally passed away last month. I'm actually surprised I'm here doing this interview, but it was what I'm trying to do and stuff. But my favorite thing to do is that worked really good for when I was outlining the mystery book I was doing, Bingo Bola. It worked really good when I was outlining the thriller. It has always caused me problems when I try to first do a techno thriller, type of a lots of moving pieces. So what I eventually found out, if you want to write, if you're a heavy plotter like I am, and you doing science fiction, you're going to actually have to use all the writing book stuff, outline templates to flesh out your book. So that's what I've started doing. And now, and the funny thing about it is, I technically used AI to tighten it up a little bit. It's the only thing I can think of AI to actually use to tie up my notes. But so what I'm going to go through is, I'm going to go through that because we're having a little problem with there's meat there, but it's more of 75,000 word story. The word count goal is 100,000 words for the science fictions now. I was trying to have this budget type of idea of let's do these little 65,000, 7,000 word books, but I couldn't ever hit the sweat spot with them. It's usually I don't have money to finish this project. Or B, it's the other end of the spectrum. It's don't have to be a nice little novella. Nothing wrong with that, but it was a special. So what I've started is the little books I'm doing, and they're going to be one's a mystery, 50,000 words. One's a the thriller book is going to be around like 50,000 words. Might go a little bit more than that. So I'm just calling them little books because they're easier to pull out. And I thought I found like I wanted to, like, I was trying to retrain my author brain and retrain everything. So instead of doing like some big epic sci-fi series or fantasy series, I just want to retrain my author brain. So I've always wanted to write a mystery and I always wanted to write a thriller. So I'm like, I'm just going to do these two one-off projects under P names. And hey, if they pop off, probably I'm going to eventually come back to them. But it's going to be pretty much science fiction for the next couple books.
Hey, that's fun. I definitely like that. I've been talking to more and more authors who are trying to diversify the type of books they write. And this could be, in various ways. Maybe they jump different age brackets, maybe kind of like what you're doing. You're jumping between you said the thriller and the sci-fi and like different genres, but you don't have to pigeonhole yourself. You can always try new things, and maybe some of it works, maybe sometimes it doesn't, but that's why you try, you learn, and you adapt. How many projects are you working on right now? Because it sounds like you have a number.
Oh, well, okay. The project that is in the queue right now is the thriller detective one. It's about private investigator, fund, organized crime. It's a very PI noir type of book. That's the one that I'm working on right now. And how my brain works is I at least have to be working on two things at once. It's just how my ADHD brain works sometimes. So I'm always outlining something. But I've actually already planned out several other books on my notebooks. I got a lot of notebooks and a lot of things. So the plan is there is a 2-book duology series, and how I'm describing that one is QB Mystery Crisis in space, because everything's better in space, even fantasy. It's a very old joke. Some may actually do article, but it's the oldest joke I actually know, because I'm like, barbarian pirates, in space. I just take all these like history things and like, it's always better in space. And also, I could always say, it's always better with ray guns. Oh, hey guys. But I always think it's always better with stuff like that. But that's just how I am, and I just always do. That's how I begin a lot of things. So it's like, okay, even with a thriller book, I'm like, okay, PI, okay. What type of agency is he working for? Because I've actually outlined PI books before, so this is not something new to me. But I'm always like, okay, what would the cops not get involved in? So you always, when you're doing like a PI, you have to make it the story reasonably reasonable. It's like, well, I mean, the one I'm working on is basically about a missing 18-year-old kid that goes missing, and his parents think something bad happened to him. But, you know what I mean? But he's 18, and, you go to a local cop, you go like, the book is set in South Carolina. It's like, probably went to the big city. You know what I mean? He's 18 and he want to get out in so small town. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So that's where the book concept came from. And when I do science fiction, I always look for interesting things of history. And I'm like, that would be better in space. QB Mystery Crisis, but in space. So that's just how I am. And I'm always fascinated by weird things. Like, if you don't notice, there's a gigantic Project Orion ship as my profile picture, because I just think it's good. But it's one of the weirdest government projects I've ever came across. I read a wonderful book about it, but it's just like, and when people really, there's some good YouTube videos about it if you want to go research it, but if you want to take something and take a battleship, there was no showstoppers with it. they just didn't say, "Ooh, radiation's bad, bombs bad, nuclear power bad." But think about it for a moment. How about North Korea? Do you think they would care about And then I'm starting thinking about it, and this is literally how the things I coming from. So that book project has been on the table for a while, and well, let's just say other projects popped into my head and said, "Hey, you should write my story." So technically, I hate when they do that. I'm like, okay, fine, librarian. I go write your story now.
Let me ask: is there any particular author that has inspired the way you like to write or the stories you like to tell? Because you mentioned, a variety of different genres. Do you have an author or two that you're like, this particular one I love?
When it comes to mysteries, really, Agatha Christie and Murder She Wrote really inspire me to. I really love those books. But when it comes to science fiction, there is a book that still has a special place in my sight. It's Rocket Ship Galileo. It was written by, I believe, Holly L. I think is it Rebel Holly? It's one of the Roberts. It's like, I think it's the same person that wrote Starship Troopers. I like Starship Troopers, but Rocket Ship Galileo stuck in my mind about everything. And it's like, it was one of the most amazing. You can actually find it on YouTube if you want to listen to it. But I read it and it totally changed my perspective, because I was getting bored reading mysteries and fantasy, and the book librarian said, "Oh, why don't you try? You in the fantasy section? Why don't you try science fiction?" Because one of my biggest rants is science fiction and fantasy should have it should be separate. They should have their own section at the bookstore. It's one of my pet peeves at every bookstore. They just show that, like, you don't do that.
Especially the smaller ones, they are kind of lumped together. Science fiction and fantasy, and there are some overlaps. Obviously, fantasy being one, but yes, they are also very distinctly different. And the wide diversity within both genres, does deserve their own sections.
It's just if I win the library or something, I plan on setting up a bookstore, and everybody is going to it's going to be a genre-based bookstore, and everybody's going to have a section, even like science, and they're going to be together, but you know what I mean? There's just going to be no literary books there. I don't think they're going to be crying that much since they sell a lot of those.
Hey, I've seen a number of niche style mom and pop bookstores popping up that are hyper genre, so it's like only romantasy or only
I know that
space opera, and it's really
I'm
interesting.
I think it's interesting, but the people that usually doing that is usually saying on online, or they have a little pop store that they just pop up. It's like it's very, very niche. I mean, personally, wherever more people can find you books, whatever genre, more bookstores is needed. Especially in my area, it ain't too great.
One of the neatest things I've seen recently is a couple of local businesses will, I think now, fairly regularly sponsor a mobile bookstore. So I think it's like an Airstream that's a bookstore, and these people will drive around and stop at a restaurant one day and a brewery another day, and people can go and shop books while you're there. And I was like, that's brilliant.
I love those people. I mean, hell, the funny part about it is if you actually type in Blaster Books, it actually pops up like I'm actually a bookstore. I'm like, no, guys, the funny thing about it is because I put publishing house on my Facebook like page, but for some reason, I'm like, technically I do have one. It's at my page, so linking viral, like everybody said. But it's really sad because in my area, if you're buying books, it's going to have to be BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com, because sadly there is not a lot of local bookstores around. I mean, even in the thrift ones seem to be like it's just they just like they say little reasons because of stuff like that, but it's like I can remember going out and seeing like a bookstore on every corner. It's really sad to see that because it's just something about walking into a bookstore, smelling that coffee, and going, "Ooh, cookies!" It's just so much fun.
That's true, and I know it's so hard for the indie bookstores out there because you are competing with things like Zon, and there are the people who, I've done it before where it's like, oh, I want something now. You go online and you order it; it'll be shipped to your house in a couple days. But mom and pop bookstores, this is one of the downfall to them is that, so many people are now reliant to go online and they're not supporting local. And having that bookstore, that even libraries, you could even argue, having that place where people can go to get a book to read is very valuable for communities. So it is unfortunate that they are.
I mean, people are doing that, but it's a myriad of factors. It's just not online. I mean, let's be honest. People have been buying online for a really long time.
Yeah.
It's tax codes. It's regulation. It's it's like
pricing.
Like I work part time at a grocery store. They can never keep that place staffed with anybody because they work on such a small margin.
Yeah.
We got factories around here that would start you off at $70 an hour. So I take the work at a factory. That's how I keep the lights open. But no, it's just one of the bigger things that I've noticed. It's sad, but I do like the really niche places, and I'm seeing more niche places. Even I popped in a bookstore on Bookstagram, or they might suppress that because I'm niching a comparator. but no, I think it was here, and I started to see lots of micro bookstores pop up, or people saying niche books. There's actually a person that I stumbled across here that has something to repost, and all she does is sell black author says locally around here at conventions and stuff. Oh, that reminds me. There's actually a local book convention called Book and Chaos that I had no clue was going on, and then my For You page blew up about Book and Chaos, and I can't find anything really horrendous what the posting actually said. All I was knowing, I just saw all these people pulling out of it. I'm like, I wonder where the Book and Chaos are. Literally, it was a local event in Greenville, South Carolina. That I've actually found out. I just now need to actually call up English Spark and order some of my books. Something I technically need to do for props purposes anyway, but it just was like, well, thank you, Book Talk, for complaining about something. It's like the first time complaining about something actually turned out to be beneficial to me.
Yeah, usually, well, I will have to say, I never listened to that, so I don't know the commentary on either side of that particular issue, but I do know that one had some chatter, at least across the various socials lately. Yeah. But let me actually ask you, of all the books you've written and or are working on, do you have a favorite character of yours, that one that you just are very passionate about in particular?
Oh, it's the librarian, Lulu. I think Lululemon, I probably butchered it. She is by none one of my favorite characters, because this is how I got that. I'm on a Facebook group called Plot Covering or something like that. And these people just post outlines that they happen to do, and they happen to be selling. I'm like, okay, whatever. And they do other things too. They sell AIT services and other things. So I'm thinking, I'm reading this nice little, it's a cozy mystery, and the character pops in my head and go, hey, you should write me. Like,
I like that.
And then the book on the characters I'm working on say, yeah, you should buy her and write her stuff. Thank you guys, but it's just, and my other second favorite character is pretty much the guy that I'm writing in the thriller book. He's a very rough,
Mhm.
greedy, have a potty mouth, say unpleasant stuff. But if you're in a gunfight and you want to be rescued or you want to hire him, he's the guy you want. You want
Okay,
that. You want. I mean, I have another character. Like, you want the Lieutenant Matt on your side as a character, but my favorite one is Lulu. She's just like slide into my head. It's like, hey, I'm like, you sure right, Matt? Like, why are you doing here? You know the character you just got done reading about? Yeah, you sure? So it was a fun thing, but it's just I don't know where these people come from sometimes. I'm sitting here in bed and like, I guess I need to work on a book. It's like, I guess the next project is this one. It's like, oh, no. Remember me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I outlined you like 3-5 years ago. You telling this story and turning into Stealth Pursuit, a novella that I still need to get edited and formatted and stuff. It's just saying on my computer. But, I'm like, oh god, like just characters pop in my head and I get sidetracked sometimes.
Well, you mentioned that you're kind of you approach writing a little bit like I do, where you do plot out to an extent, and then you start letting the story come alive. Because I've had those cases where I didn't expect a character to be there, and then all of a sudden they were there.
Suddenly they show up.
That's part of the fun of writing, I think.
Yeah, I know.
When the story starts coming alive and taking a journey together, you as a writer and your story. So I think that's
neat. It's just funny to me where these people like, and the thing about it is just like it. I had a video that came on my For You page. Don't let the voices inside of the head talk out loud. Don't let the voices like, yeah, I know. I'm sitting here at the factory. I'm working at doing my job. Like, don't talk out loud. Don't talk out loud. You can talk out loud all you want to at your apartment and write the things they're saying to you, but do not talk out loud. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's just like, and people are like, you crazy, you talk to yourself. I'm like, yeah, I know.
My answer is I'm an author, and that's how I communicate with my characters, okay?
Yeah, that's really what I'm like, I'm an author. It's like, oh, have you published books? Like, yes. The cover is on my phone. Here you go.
I can point you in that direction, of course. Yeah, no, it's always interesting when someone realizes that's what you do, and it's fascinating. Of course, the series of questions that happen next.
Oh yeah, I know. It's always funny to me. Like, do you think I should be a writer? Mine, because how it is. When everybody asks me, should I be a writer? I'll say like, no. It's the first thing that comes out of my mouth because there are a lot of problems being a writer. And even when people ask, should I self-publish? My answer is always no. But if you're going to do this, because I've seen too many people give up before they even hit the milestone. It's sad to happen. Because I love people with stories and like more stuff. I try to encourage everybody. The reason I say stuff like that is not to rain on any parade, not to say self-publishing bad or traditional publishing good. It's to propel the person for every book that blows up like Pirates of Tea or something. Oh, for every author. They are 120 authors like myself that self-published that struggle to move 1 year. I think I've sold 19 of the paperback book. I've actually launched the ebook and sold 0 copies. But it was like, because the problem is like my videos don't get reached that much. Yeah. And the sad part about it is I played around with Facebook advertisement and stuff. But
that's hard. I've never been great at that.
I'm not really great at that either. But the click-through rate wasn't worth the ROI. And that's why I try to tell people is like, this, at the end of the day, you want to create the day job. Okay, if that's the goal, you want to be professional, you have to treat things like a business.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to do that and you just want to self-publish and have your books out there, this is a great hobby. But at the end of the day, I'm 47. I'm not getting any younger. I can't keep working a part-time job and a factory job all at the same time. I'm like, my body started to break down. Hashtag 40. When I go to bed, I wake up, I'm like, I didn't even work today. What did I do to my body? But so I'm trying to be professional about this, and I rewatch the Brandon Sanders writing class courses every now and then. Oh, that's actually a good segue. Go write all the Brandon Sanderson writing courses with a notepad and then rewatch them. Best information on. It doesn't matter what type
I've not done that one, but I know a lot of people talk very highly of him. But going back to your other point, it is very important if someone wants to be a writer to figure out what kind of writer. Do you want this to just to be able to hold a book in hand? Fine. Do you want it to be your future career? You do have to take this, seriously in a different way. And it is a business. You have to treat it so much, and it's not easy. And people, I think, either think it's going to be really easy, or they look at, especially indie publishing, and they don't think that's a valid way to approach publishing. It has to be a reality check for a lot of people. But if anybody is like overly gung-ho, it's always good to like have someone be like, okay, but here's the reality of it. Here's the pros. Here are the cons. You can get highs and lows. Here's life as an indie author. So I definitely understand that. It's definitely not easy. You're correct.
Yeah, it's not. One author popped up on For You page is like, quit trying to scam indie authors. We don't have much money. I mean, we really don't. I mean, and what I try to, it's not easy. Even trying to trace upon, it's not. This is a very, very hard, exasperating life to live, and there's a good chance. I can't remember the thing, but I always remember, well, you wrote a book. A very small percentage of people can actually say you got the green light. There's a billion people on Facebook groups that haven't finished one novel and haven't even put it out there. I'm still getting people commenting saying like, oh, how's that self-published thing going? I'm like, how's the literary treatise treating you? I don't want to talk. I'm like, if you have to build up a very, very don't care attitude and have to develop a very thick skin in this business. You have to, because you're gonna have bad days. You're gonna spiral out of control. Imposter system is going to take over, and social media does not help very well, because social media just want to show you the wonderful successes, and you spiral out of control and like, what's wrong with my books? Why my books not moving? And it's like, it's frustrating, but you have to take it one book project at a time, one view at a time. It's to get to be, well, I've always told this, Brandon Sanderson is one of the most successful authors we know of in this day among our writing generation. Do you know how many big Brandon Sanderson books he wrote? Just listen to how, because he's wolf. He loves his big books. I read some of them. They're awesome. Heck, I wonder if somebody should use it as a murder weapon, a murder mystery one time. I would think that would be hilarious. Maybe like a short story novella. I've actually thought about that, but it's just so difficult. You have to have this especially me, because I don't have the luxury of just sitting at my computer, being able to type out the stuff. I have to first find a ghostwriter, talk to them, make sure we are a good match, and it's just one book at a time is what I tell everybody. I tell everybody, write is the most important thing. I mean, it's the most important thing, and that's why I'm mainly focusing on. I'm mainly trying to plot, mainly trying to outline. I'm trying to focus on stuff, but I'm always going to be very real with people. There's a chance that you won't be successful at this, but the only way you know you will never be successful at it, if you give up, guess what? You're never gonna be successful at it.
That's true.
If you treat like a hobby, if you treat like one day at a time, I constantly say this. It's a long game.
Yes, it is.
There are writers that have wrote for years, and sadly, they hit the New York Times bestseller list because, a writer I really love passed away, and some of my favorites mentions them because they literally passed away. It's a long game. It's a very long game.
If you listen to some of the most famous writers, or very popular writers, Stephen King, he wrote many books.
Oh my Lord, that's one of my favorite people. He technically gave me bad writing advice because I thought the only way to write is because I read Stephen King and he was a New York Times bestseller. He says, planting is bad. You should never apply. So I started out pantsing, and the level of profanities that I swooned to Stephen King was hilarious. How many times he's a good writer, don't get me wrong, but it was, and that's the second thing people don't understand. It's but figure out what type of writer you are. Are you a plant? Are you sometimes in the middle? It's just, it's a spectrum.
And one of the things I always say all the time, there's no one right way to write because everybody's different. Every genre is different. I do see some comments in here that I was going to touch a little on was, yes, you should never compare your success or your books to other authors. Take it one book at a time. That's absolutely true. And there is a lot that goes into self-publishing. It is a very expensive thing. So be it hobby or full-time career, just understand it's not an easy one, especially when you're getting into it. But let me ask you, because the hour is starting to pick up, a couple questions that especially for everybody listening now, but also if I'm able to reshare this on my YouTube channel in the next couple weeks, I'll put all your information down below. But outside of Book Talk, is there any other place that people can find and follow you? Other socials, website?
It's Lots of Books is on Facebook. I'm not that active on Facebook. The only reason I stay active on Facebook is I talk with fellow authors about game planning stuff, and that's how I communicate with my editor is through Facebook Messenger. So I'm not on that, but I'm on Bookstagram, Lots of Books, X. I keep calling it Twitter. I always just call it Twitter. I'm there. I played around with other socials, but I like doing short videos. I played around with YouTube, but my internet is not that great. Yep. And I've talked with my internet providers, and they're like, "Yeah, we getting the high speed stuff out to you, but it could be a while."
I dislike that. Yes,
I'm a small ass. If you blink, drive through it, you will miss it.
I'm from small towns. I grew up in a small town. I definitely understand that. But I did see a question for you in particular. Do you have one of your books to show that people can see?
Sally, no. I wish I did. It's one of the things I've meant to buy one, and it's I get caught up with life stuff.
It's
blindsiding me, and it's still in the queue at Ingram Spark to be ordered, but I wish I did. I used to do the green screen all the time.
Yes.
If you go to my page,
that's true.
You should scroll. I think one of the videos I posted, you can see some of the cover art.
Let me also ask you, where can people buy your book? Because that's an important question. Okay. So where do you sell your books?
I sell the paperback books everywhere that you can buy books. Now, don't. This is actually something I need to tell everybody. The mystery book, go to thrift books and buy it if you want to get the best value. They actually selling that puppy for $17. I'm like, normally it's Amazon is usually at the best price, but the best place to get some of the now always the best place if you want to buy directly from me, just go to my pay store. Those are the best margins. But I'm trying, like, the paperback books are wide. I'm trying to get the not the tech, the thriller, the military SF book, the YA military S book. It's starting to, like, I'm pushing that out through Drafted Digital right now. I'm having major problems with my Amazon account at the moment. Right now, I'm not allowed to buy anything using my debit card on Amazon. So that's like, I don't know why. I've been on the phone with my bank and them, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, that's the thing about it is just like, I guess I should go to bookshop.org and buy my book, but like no, it's just that's just being a real business type of thing. But one of the things that my books are at every place. I'm wide. I'm with Ingram Spark. You can go buy the paperback book. I don't really make that much money off of it.
Unfortunately,
because I mean, well, it's not a trade paperback. Fun lesson learned. When you're doing pod, only do a trade paperback or a hardcover. Don't try to do a mass market paperback. The margins will not be very good for you.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I've not used Ingram Spark at this moment. I do want to take my print books wide, but I'm looking between them. And right now, Drafted Digital is starting to open up, I think, prints. If they haven't already, they're going to do it soon. I know they're not as wide, but I'm curious about them. I do like them as users.
They basically use Ingram Spark, but I think that you might get a slightly better deal with them if you decide to use them. I use Drafted Digital to go wide with my ebooks. Man,
yes, I do too.
I've always used them to go wide with. Now, don't really a secret if I can hit the submit button and go wide every place. But Ingram Spark is the only one I know that you can get. You can just hit one button and it's every place on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and people, when you go to a small indie bookstore and you say, well, you can find me in the Ingram Sparks catalog, it's easier for getting a small independent bookstore to buy your book when it's not KDP print. Now, there's nothing wrong with using Drafted Digital. I've actually played around and got some of the use them, and I've ordered some books from them. I don't really have them where I can usually get them. They are some anthologies I put together, but they look pretty good. They're pretty solid, and they basically load your book up to English Spark. So I mean, using them, why just be cautious? I think they only can do paperback. I don't think they can. Yeah,
they're only paperback at this moment.
They only can do paperback. Now you could use key, but if you want to get hardcover and stuff out and want the widest reach, English Spark is pretty much the only game in town. I know people feel some type of way about them. I know it's a hate.
People feel a way about all the big businesses.
Oh my God! I mean, I can't sit here and go on a 5-minute rant about Drafted Digital not having enough people at the call center for a good hour. So I have had run-ins with everybody. And the favorite thing I always say that replays in my head is I follow this person. She's a romance book indie person, and she had a video because I was having fun spiraling again because I got a nasty gram for Drafted Digital. I did something they didn't like, and a nasty gram for Bezos, and I was finally and then it's a business. At the end of the day, these people are simply business partners. And now I want to talk a little bit about Jeff Bezos' website. And I did some digging because on my For You page, I found a lot of people complaining about being KU and it's some boycott. What I found is Amazon control of the global ebook and in America ebook is been shrinking. Is what's the numbers actually say? Enough where it might actually affect you now. When Amazon was globally 70% and like 80% in America, they fell down to 70% in America and fell to 67% globally. That might affect you KU download numbers. Of course, there's another interesting thing I've seen is gobbling up into ebooks as audiobooks have really started to like gobble into the ebook part of it. So that's just something
yeah, audiobooks I feel like are a lot, especially with our busy lives, are very approachable.
Oh yeah,
for a lot of
I
people.
love audiobooks. I listen to a lot. It's how I get most of my reading done. I need to read because I'm an author, but I love to read a physical book. But audiobooks is like they are types of, the thing about it is they are types of fun, free platforms out there. I think Liverbox is one of my personal favorites. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's like regular readers volunteering to read like public domain books. And it's always good to like read books from the past because you see things repeat a lot. It's like the joke is there's no original ideas. Kid you not, I designed, they call Jaffians, and I wrote a short story. They're all these like full-arm alien creatures. And I'm thinking like full legs, full arms. There's never been somebody like that. It was on Project Gutenberg. I stumbled upon this fun sci-fi ebook. Wow, good description of my aliens. So like it's actually funny. There's no original ideas. It's just you take your own spin on the idea. There's only a. That's
I do want to kind of jump back to the point of, and for anybody who's listening or will listen, just to be aware, just like, and again, going back to the library topic, is if people don't know, you can have huge resources of when you have your library access to ebooks as well as audiobooks.
I mean,
so you can listen to a lot of stuff, and that's why I wanted to make sure both my ebooks and audiobooks were accessible to the library systems, because there are a lot of people who can't afford to download and buy all of them.
Damn. I
can still enjoy it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got into audiobooks because the only way I could possibly do audiobooks is use AI, and I cannot stand how like I have listened to audiobooks that was narrated by AI, and it's like I'm like just do it yourself.
Well, I was going to say, if there are the people who do it themselves. If you can't afford it and you're okay with, again, everything is pros and cons, there is that option through the ACX platform to do the 50-50 share. So you're not necessarily paying out of pocket for your narrator. You're just contracted for, I think, 7-year interim to split the proceeds. I've done that for one series just because audiobooks are expensive, and I'm paying other narrators on my other series to have the full rights, but there are different ways to approach it. But yeah, real voices are great. Some of these AI things are good to read out your book to you is actually good, but I find the dry computer voice, I can catch more stuff with that than if it's having a voiceover. I just find the dry computer voice catch more mistakes. Heck, I have actually had the computer dry voice read out ebooks to me sometimes because I'm doing stuff and internet is down for some reason, and I have a bazillion Project Gutenberg books on my devices because I think that's the greatest website known to man. But it's just
and I like having that because I like having something that
It can
I
help
know.
you catch edits, yes.
It helps to catch yourself, but it's also just good to if I can't have an audiobook on for some reason, I have that in the background now. I'm writing notes and talking to myself and talking through stuff. It's always good because it's very difficult when you're writing deep in the process of doing stuff to even when you're doing show it's difficult to be a reader while you're trying to write at the same time. And audiobooks is the only way I can come up with to do stuff like that is what I've noticed over the years. But
I got that. Well, since the hour is about to wrap up, thank you for hanging out with me for the last bit. It's been nice to get to talk to you and learn about your writing process and what you write. I do want to also say, is there any thing you want to say to wrap up? Do you have do you do events? Is there anything you want people to recognize? Do you have an upcoming release? This would be a great time to do the last moments.
I mean, I wish I had an upcoming release, but everything had been released for this year. Things are moving slowly on the thriller book, so that's probably going to be a 2026 release.
Okay. Yeah, that's not.
I mean, I'm probably going to. I'm going to do something different for art copies going forward. I used to just send out free art copies to anybody that asked for them, and that hasn't been turning out very well.
Yeah.
And every time I announce, hey, I'm trying to send out free art copies, we always get the fun posted into our DMs. I'd be glad to read your book for blah, blah, blah amount of money. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'm not going to pay you.
My policy is I don't
I
pay.
know. Me either, because I mean, just think some type of way. They didn't like the book and you sent the person $250. You're going to be feeling... You got a bad review and you out money that you could spend on cover art for heck, spent on hitting the promotion button on TikTok for $250 will be. I've always said is like, if you want to spend $250, hold up your book on TikTok, hit the promote button for $250, and talk about your book. Will probably be more effective than paying some random person that get 5 likes on a video.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Again, there are so many people who are there just to make a quick buck and to scam. And so if people will promise you the world and then they ask for money in return, be cautious. Just
yes,
cautious. I get those all the time, inundated from my business email, every social. It's
every social.
Certain formulas at the point when someone reaches out, I'm like, okay, you're another one of these. It's unfortunate.
I mean, it's hilarious. I like people. I get weird stuff sometimes. I get like, hey, you're very handsome, and along with, hey, I can support your book. Thank you for calling me handsome, but but it's like I get the funny both ends of the thing. I get like people say, I can help you with you. I get like, wow, I can help you grow on TikTok. Yeah, thanks. I'm like, I'm growing quite nicely on TikTok. I mean, like, it's the funniest thing about it. This was supposed to be fun, like videos. I wasn't even planning on trying to promote my actual books on TikTok, and then I got bored doing the videos I was doing, and I just started talking about my books. And then the whole TikTok was going away, and I was like, oh well, nice knowing everybody. So I started going hard on Bookstagram. I now have forgotten about Bookstagram. I need to stop posting up there because I need to be on both places. It's just, well, I mean, I get done doing a video over here, and I just don't feel like doing a video on Bookstagram talking about the same thing.
I set it up so it automatically downloads my videos, and then I can
Oh
repost
yeah, I like
elsewhere.
or like there's all times but I like to make original. I like to do stuff
Hey,
in the
that's
app.
great. More
I mean,
power to you.
yeah, I should just start hitting the download button and just like be done with everything. But it was really nice talking with you,
It was nice
and
talking to you.
I'm always open to like. In the thing about it is, I don't follow a lot of people, and the only reason I don't follow a lot of people, these like I will follow probably more people if they simply interact with my content. It's like if you simply interact with me, I will probably have a higher likelihood of following you back because sometimes people say, "Hey, I follow you. Why you didn't follow me back?" One, I don't do follow for follow, and B, who are you? And yeah, ask.
Build a community, and you want again people to engage and to communicate and actually have conversations, and not. It's not numbers are nice, but community's that much better.
Because like I've always said, give me a person give me half of 1,000 people that are passionate about your book, then I see this all the time. I see people with small communities killing it simply because their community is active. Mm-hmm. You want more active followers. I always try to even some posts like this one with a picture of me saying I'm single or something. Somehow that I don't know if I accidentally promote that when I mean to promote something else, but it happened to blow up. Even on that view, I'm seeing you engaging, like, well, thank you.
Know who you are.
Yeah, like I just engage with everything, and every now and then I do hit the promote button. Like it's a double-edged sword. TikTok thinks like, oh, we're gonna sit on your video even extra 4 days longer till you get you 200 views. Because hilariously, it's like, hey, you should promote this video. Yeah,
make money too.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing about it is, if I'm getting less interaction, sometimes less comments or stuff, and I do it in small batches, and it's always one day, $8 or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's a small thing, and sometimes I'm like, ooh, I'm going to promote this video. I already got 2 likes on it. Gets 800 views and only get 2 likes for some reason. Like
there's something about that.
Yeah,
they don't really. I don't know. I don't trust the promotion feature to know who to send it to. They're sending it to Dog Talk or Mom Talk, and that's not. They're probably
I've really got on Romantic Book Talk for some reason, and then like, oh, that's cool that you author. I just exclusively read romance books. I'm like, oh, that's good. I love to read romance books. Got any good recs? I got some good lists of recs. I read everything. I just there's actually a funny story.
But then I'll have to go because I know it's my time to wrap up and. Let my baby dogs out.
Okay. This is a funny story. It was back 2005, and I was in a writing group, and we had this like female that was took in like local writing classes, and it came around like, hey, there was a course to like write a sci-fi short story, so she looked us up and saw we were active. We put our personnel in a little file, say, hey, if you in writing. So she joined the group and she like, hey, I have this novel. I want some honest feedback. Will you take a look at it? And it happens to be a fun little rom-com. And at the time, I was reading a lot of sci-fi short stories. Let's just say they were really depressing and everything had an unhappy ending. But that was what they were publishing at the time. So I read this book with this fun happily ever after. The couple got together, I think, in their marriage. And the first words of Mel, I love this book. What's this genre? And can you give me some book rats? And she was like, and I'm I'm a sci-fi writer, and how to break in my genre is to write insanely unhappy short fiction right now. That's literally what they were telling you in the classes and how to write articles at the time. But they was always do that. And it's just like, and it's been a love affair ever since. I love to sit down and actually know that I'm gonna have a happy ever after.
That's
because it's just something nice to like. It's because I read dark fantasy, epic fantasy, high fantasy. I'm like I have really characters I fell in love with get killed close to the end of the book as a sacrificial lamb. I'm like, man, but oh well, hey, but I'm gonna let you go now because we ran way longer than
I have to go let my dogs out. It's at 8 o'clock. But thank you so much again for hanging out. And if you ever want to do these again down the future, maybe next year when you release your next book, we can always get together and talk some more.
Okay, bye.
Bye everyone. Thanks for joining.